Guys, welcome to the first ever edition of a brand new podcast I'm starting called Red News Weekly. And today is a co stream that I am doing, and I'm very excited about this. Today is a big show. I'm going to cover a lot of points with a special guest that I've got on today. We're going to look at yesterday's games. We're going to look at so many points that you fans are interested in, that I want to know about what's going on, what's our views. And the person I'm going to bring on as usually has an opposite view to me, which is going to make a fantastic show, an interesting insight for you guys. So if you've not subscribed, if you've not got involved, please do so. I'm going to bring on a special guest, a good friend of mine, somebody that's doing amazing work in the Manchester United fan community. Welcome, Mr. Mick Ruby. Mick, how are you?
You mean Graham Souness, the opposite?
No, mate. How things? How are you? It's been a long time since we've done anything.
Yeah, it's been was it 1 million years ago I saw you or something like that? It
Yeah, so I
feels
think
like it.
last time we did something was before the FA Cup. We didn't do anything in the summer, and I think now would be. I thought it'd be a good time to have a discussion about
Yeah,
the current situation.
yeah.
Well, like I said in the intro, we're going to cover multiple things, but I want to start off, Mick, with to get your kind of view on yesterday's game and what you thought how it went.
Well, it requires 24 hours sleep to think about it, to be honest,
Requires a week.
or sometimes a week or three. But you know me by now, and everyone that knows me, that I am not pragmatic. I am pretty much looking at it from my 360 degree. I try to take myself out of the fan position and the emotional and think more rational and look at every single angle and rewatch the game. And you know what? We had a unfortunate start to this season where Lady Fortuna or footballing gods hasn't been there, been jinxing it a little bit. We can see that clearly, we have a equally responsible footballing operation that back Ten Hag and give him all the tools and new coaching staff and everyone. And clearly can see the instructions, how we're playing out from the back and keeping clean sheets are working. The donut hole in the middle has been filled. You know what I mean? No more McFred. So it's only the final third, which is kind of, we're not really scoring at the moment. And is it down to coaching? Is it down to the manager? Is it down to the players? That's a big question mark, right? Because it's the law of physics. Sometimes the bloody ball just doesn't want to go into the net, or sometimes the goalkeeper has a blinder or has a worldie of a game. Then we're talking 2 games in a row now. We're talking about Dean Henderson having the match of his life, and yesterday's goalkeeper, I don't know what the hell he pulled out from the rabbit of the hat and saved. So yeah, and then of course I have something that I want to share with you, which is absolutely eating me alive still, which is Christian Eriksen. So from hero to villain at the end of the day. But that's about it. What I have to say. I have so many points to cover, Bilal. So it
Yeah,
was a little bit of a horror show for the players afterward. I think they were shocked because they think they're comfortable cruising through 1-0 and thinking they were going to score more goals and X, Y, Z. And the manager FC Twente shit his pants. He went on the back five. Back five. He played a 5-4-1 at the end of the day. So we could have won that game, but hey, that's football, people. Like, that's football.
Mick, me and you have had multiple discussions over the last since January or so regarding multiple topics regarding Manchester United and especially the current situation we find ourselves in. What I always not want to do is become like other channels that constantly
No,
have a Ten Hag out agenda, and it needs to be a balanced argument so we can all kind of understand what we think, because sometimes we're emotional, fans are emotional, and it's important to be balanced. I think if we just take the start of the season and if we take the previous season together,
yeah,
what we're finding is one of the main problems we are having is that we don't create enough chances, in a sense of, if you look at yesterday's game, there wasn't much chance creation, bar one or two. We're not a team that creates a lot. And then the other problem is we don't take the chances as well. And the second thing is where us fans have got a bit stuck is that we seem to think that one player or a player or two players will solve this problem. For example, last year it was um, Amrabat. Once Amrabat's in there, once Amrabat's fit, this is going to get fixed.
Oh,
Then it became Ugarte, and at the moment it's Luke Shaw as
all
well.
right.
Um, what? Because this has been going on so long.
Yeah, I mean there's a method to the madness, and that's called 15 years of depression on having the Glazers ownership and um, X, Y, Z, and not really adhering to the manager's wishes, and it's a mixed bag of everything. But now finally this season, what's different this season that we actually got 17 players out the door. We got a new establishment, a new footballing operation that takes time, 100%. But one thing that I need to say from a balanced approach is that a common denominator is that we always start slow. We always seem to be coming in with no preseason training. We're not prepared. In all fairness, what Ineos did was to negotiate. We're not going to pay over the price. But that takes a little bit of a cost as well, because that cost us the points in the beginning of the Premier League, because Manuel Ugarte was not ready. De Ligt is not ready. Now we've seen Manuel Ugarte playing his first 60 minutes. But yet again, the fan base and the media has been the common denominator in destroying the experience. Like, because you set the expectations, and of course, Man United is the biggest club in the world. I look around at my neighboring channels, and they're very reactionary. I don't know why. Is it too early to say, well, sack the manager, play this player, or why you're not playing my favorite player? And this is unfortunately the way our fan base and community has been shaped over the past 15 years at least, right? Because we used to win everything under Sir Alex, but now for the first time we have a manager that's been given the mandates, been given all the tools for for the next foreseeable year. So to win the Premier League title or expect anything, I mean, change management in any types of business, it takes time, right? Until everything falls into place. My objective here is to see that I see what we are trying to accomplish. I see that last year the agenda was that we are conceding too many shots. The midfield, now we fixed that. Now we had like 3 clean sheets in a row and a good midfield. We have a squad depth, rotation. Managers acknowledge are going to sort of not overplay players, going to rotate. Yesterday he did rotate, but still fans are complaining. So the new shiny thing was to go in on a style of play. And the next thing is, okay, the attack, right? The attack, we're not finishing on dinners. So my question back to you then, is it the manager's fault that the players are not finishing the goals, or is it down to the players?
I am very clear on this, and if you remember, since me and you have been doing things together, I always refer back to a game which was last November, and that game is about to happen again this Sunday, when Tottenham came last year, and our we we were told that because of injuries we cannot play a certain way, and Ange Postecoglou turned up to Old Trafford with his fourth choice midfield, and they bossed the midfield. My honest view, without being reactionary and without trying to do this for clickbait and trying to give a balanced view, is I do not think it will work with this manager. Reason being is that he where we see him now is his level, and this is the problem also. He cannot take us any higher than where he is. Number
Yeah,
one.
I buy the point. I buy the point.
Number one. Number two is, if we keep seeing structural issues, for example, holes in the midfield, and if you look at the goal, regardless of Ericsson giving it away, it came from a goal kick and he's run straight through the middle.
Oh yeah, I will share that.
Yeah, we've got that, and if we've changed everything, we've changed the coaches, the goalkeepers, the coaches, we've changed physios, we've changed everything, bar the manager, and the issues are still there. To me, it tells you is how we are being set up is what the problem is.
Let me take that even further, right? Okay, there's a lot of things to dissect here. Imagine we have a red Ferrari parked in a garage, right? It needs to be taken out, spun for a drive. You want to go pedal to the metal, right? That's the ultimate experience, the Ferrari. But you need to have balanced tires, right? You know, front wheels, back wheels. Right now, past years we didn't have a balanced back wheel, so we were skidding everywhere, like we were going like this. And now the front tires need to be fitted correctly, balanced, and everything. And once everything comes to places with the engine in the midfield, I'm positive that the structure of that engine under the car will race and win games. That's what I'm saying. But however, again, there's certain things that this manager needs to put in his mind. You cannot start playing Bruno every single game. You cannot start playing single players. Yesterday he went strong in a way because he's a winner. But the structure to play Bruno and Ericsson that can only play for 60 minutes, Ericsson did fantastically well. Like he scored a worldie, right? And then after 60 minutes, completely brain fart. I mean, fatigue happens in your body, in your brain as well. That is connected. But that simple mistake led to us. They couldn't believe 1-1. And I have a clip on that from TikTok, by the way, so we can play if you want.
Yeah.
But
Can I?
comes down to focus, defend, 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 and attack and attack and attack. But to what cost? You need to have a balance between defense and attack. Right now, we are defending too much, and the output attacking is not there. Like the XG is 1.7, maximum 1.7 goal scoring opportunities. Um, so the headache is there. Like Rashford, should we start Rashford? Garnacho, that's a good one. Ama Diallo is arguably our best winger on the right. I mean, obviously we tried and tried and tried. We bought Jadon Sancho in, that didn't work out. We bought in an Anthony for 95 million, that didn't work out. And finally, Ahmad seems to take on the defenders, driving the byline, putting in the cutback passes. But you know what? Is it Ten Hag's limit, or is it the overall? You need to change the approach in terms of the system, the style, the personnel, and you need to start trusting who can deliver at the end of the day. If push comes to shove, if this continues, I'm not Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out, has always been. I'm just balanced a lot. But if push comes to shove, if we not seeing any progress or any wins on the board by November, December, I don't think it will last. And then you can talk to me about Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out.
Mick, shall I actually? I actually want to bring another perspective in on this. Where I think Ten Hag made a huge mistake, and I mentioned this on your show a couple of months back. I felt Ten Hag should have resigned at 2 points. He had two opportunities to resign, and I'll explain to you why he should have resigned. So when Ten Hag became manager, within a couple of months, the club was put up for sale, right? And in that first season, he finished, I can't remember, third or whatever, and he got a Champions League and we won the Carabao Cup. But history tells you when a club goes through a takeover, the manager gets replaced. That's how it always goes down, more or less. You get changed, unless you're Alex Ferguson, where nothing happens. Most of the time, you're gonna get replaced because they're gonna want to work a different way. So when he finished third in that first season and won the Carabao Cup, he should have resigned at that point. He said, "Look, it's best if we part ways. The club's going to go in a different way," and he would have walked out with credibility and his head held high. Last season was a disaster. He could have got sacked at multiple times. We discussed it multiple times. I remember the Coventry game me and you discussed, and we said
Yeah, yeah,
and
sure.
the Palace game. But he kept in it, and then he got to the FA Cup and he won the FA Cup, and that was the second point he should have gone. He should have said, "Look, I've done my best. I can't do any more. The club are clearly looking at a different direction, and I should just, I wish him all the best, and we part." That was his second point, because the problem he's got now is, even though he's working under a new structure in a new way of working, and ideally he should be given a certain amount of time, people are going to constantly, and the media are going to compare him to that previous two seasons, and
But
especially
that's
last season.
but that's media that will always do that.
Exactly, and fans are like, "Why is he still doing this? Why is he still doing this?" And that is a big problem in my opinion. He should have, because they also did not give him a new contract, so they are like 50-50 on him as well. They've only extended him by a year, and by the time it comes to March, they're gonna have to make some sort of decision on this, because they can't go into next summer doing a review again. So
No,
I
no.
think he didn't handle it very well either.
Well, then they're equally guilty, in my opinion, because they did a strategic review. They reviewed managers, they spoke to different managers, and then they make a decision that Ten Hag is the guy forward. They appointed all the best in class people, all the tools, all the new coaching staff, the backroom, the new medical, the new training facilities. So that means that they're in cahoots together. So that means that you have to sack everyone in that case because, hey, wasn't it the media that said that, Jason Wilcox was setting the style of play? He did. That was reported in the media. Go back and search for it, right? So there is no excuse. His job is now just to manage the squad and the expectations and do rotations. And that comes back to the point again, what I did in the beginning of the video is that we didn't we stalled the deals. We negotiated max, and I give them credit for it to not overpay. We got two brilliant defenders in De Ligt and Mazarawi for 52 million. Arguably to say that Bayern's best defenders, right? They've been mint, right? Ugarte, we've seen that he's got his first 65, 90 minutes in the United shirt just yesterday. We see that's been the CDM that we've been missing, right? But the point is, what I want to say is that is it too early to cry wolf at the moment? Is it? I mean, let's see. Listen, yesterday's result was just down to, according to my opinion, and Crystal Palace was to excellent goalkeeping. Excellent goalkeeping. The goal scoring opportunities was there. The brain fart was there from a certain player. I mean, he came up and put his hand up as well. And I'm good friends with Nuruddin as well from United Therapy. And I can see that Nuruddin is the most critical person you can ever speak to when it comes to United standards. But he's actually acknowledging to say that, listen, we fixed the defense. We are not conceding any shots. The midfield is tight, but it's just the goal scoring at the moment. So what I'm trying to say, you know what? When you buy a new car or a new motorbike or whatever, you just don't go pedal to the metal straight away because you will burn out the engine. You need to slowly sort of get it into gear and so all the components and parts and seals are warmed up and clicked together. This is the way I see it. But yeah, to play the devil's advocate, I do understand fans that are impatient. I do understand the fans are saying he's a shit manager. But look, at the end of the day, all I'm going to refer back to is that strategic review. They went through interview process with different managers they've spoken to. So they are equally guilty for giving them the 3rd-year contract. But however, again, they didn't give him a 2-year. They just gave him a 1-year extension. So if this doesn't work, of course they're going to look for another replacement. But the question is, who? And I see fans saying, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Well, Ruud van Nistelrooy, had only 1 year in Eredivisie. Was a very successful year. But why is he here? Why is he here as an assistant? Question mark. So he's there to learn for the attackers to score 100%. So he's equally guilty then that we are not scoring goals, if you're going to put it that way. But I come down to the players on the pitch because players are the ones playing the game, right?
I think one thing which isn't helping Ten Hag is if you look at Liverpool, who have bought in a new manager and hit the ground running. And if you think about it, the impact a manager like Klopp would have had of him leaving hasn't had an impact as much as it should have. And
But you know why?
Why is that,
Let
mate?
me, well, let me be more voice of reason there as well. What are we trying to accomplish right now with the new operational, the new style of play and everything? We're trying to have a succession plan for everything. We haven't had that before. Liverpool had been 7 years ahead of us. No matter which manager you replace, the style of play and the system is already been identified. Same with City, So it doesn't matter which manager you replace. You just recruit the same manager to play the same style of identity that the club, technical director, and sporting director have identified. Well, we haven't had that before. Just wake up, smell the coffee. Listen, who ran the club before? Yeah, Murto. Did he have any footballing IQ? No. Who else? Who was the CEO? Banker.
Obviously, Woodward, wasn't it? And
Banker.
Arnold.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Judge. Yeah. What did they buy? They bought for 1 billion and nothing to show for. It was a bag of mixed lollies and shit, right? They override the manager, and that was equally said. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in an interview. He and the scouting department recommended and said, "No, we're not going to sign. He's not a shirt seller." Right. So now what you can see now is they're basically going in to recruit players under 25. They go in scouting on the best in class in the market, young talent to bring up, and this is going to take a little bit more time. Right.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. The way I see it is that he's not helping himself. Number of reasons which we're going to come on to further into the show, but there's I felt I felt he should not have gone into this third season. Either they should have given him a new contract, then all this talk would have been put to bed. Number one. Number two is he to me, he looks like he's stuck in this way of operating that this is how we're going to play, which requires a lot of you need to win your duels. There's so
Okay.
much that has to go right for that style of play to work, and it reminds me a bit of Louis van Gaal, where it feels like what Dutch coaches normally do is they give a lot of instructions. It's not very simple. And I think the players get a bit overloaded with it as well. So there are multiple issues, and it's gonna. I think we
Well,
just.
he said in his post-match interview that to win this game, everyone needs to be 100% focused. You cannot relax 100%. Now, can I just add this to the stage? This
Yes,
is
please
not.
do.
Yeah. So, guys,
Hang on, let
yo,
me change the display one
change
second.
the layout
One
there.
second.
Like, yeah, cool.
There we
All
go.
right. So, look at this passage of play. In this moment, United was having 57% ball possession, 15 shots on target. First half, we dominated the game. Even the pundits were saying that. And this is a passage of play comes 65 minutes when they kind of rose to the challenge. Now, this is kind of what I said when they did their substitution, and the pundit was saying, now it's time to sort of defend. And this happens, right? This happens. And this is a shameful display because this shows you that you cannot relax. See, Bruno, this moment here, simple schoolboy error. So let me rewind it again. You see here, okay? Bruno stops running. This guy walks in the park. Now, what should Ericsson do here? What should Ericsson do here? I play backwards. Here, he's got plenty of time. Onana is free. Dego Dalot is free. But simple. He gets snubbed by two players and steals the ball. And the guy, nobody's covering. Where is Dego Dalot? Left back. Where is he? Acres of space. He opens up the body and buries it, right? My point is here. The Dego Dalot in this game was missing in the left back position. Numerous occasions in that moment, he was going into the midfield. He was playing as a midfielder. So that is down to discipline as well, right? Now, I give credit for Ericsson post-match interview because he put his hand up and said it was from my mistake. But as a professional footballer, schoolboy, turn around, watch around your shoulder, know where your opponent is. Or is it down to Onana to also shout to him, pass, give me the ball? There was no communication. And it was until this point we were leading the game. We had it comfortable, by the kill switch, and we were about to score 2-0. But after this goal, FC Twente fans, they couldn't believe it. The manager went to a 5 in the back and 4 in the midfield and 1 on top. So this is where we start to pepper them, trying to unlock the door, and we can almost score. But you remember, even Van Nistelrooy thought it was a 2-1 goal, but the goalkeeper, for some miraculous reason, got his reflex hand up like this and stopped the ball. So my argument here, as a devil's advocate, if it would be 2-1 yesterday, we wouldn't even have this discussion today.
But we are. The facts are we are. And the facts are we've only won 2 games and drawn 1. And the facts are this guy's been here 2 years, been backed out of any manager the most.
Yeah, but what is that the manager's fault here? Is it the manager's fault that...
The manager's
No,
fault.
wait, let me finish the point here. Is it Ten Hag's fault of Ericsson's brain fart moment? Is it Ten Hag's fault that the goalkeeper on the other hand had a worldie of a day? And Dean Henderson? What I'm trying to say here to be more balanced is to say, you see how we play up from the back. You see how we defensively have kept 3 clean sheets. You see how the midfield, and people have been saying, manage your squad, injuries is an excuse. But this is what he's trying to do. He's trying to rotate to keep a fresh squad. So in this game, understanding that you have Spurs over the weekend, you need to rest certain key players. Yeah. So this is my opinion, though. This is how I see it.
Absolutely, and everyone's entitled to an opinion and how they view things, which is the whole beauty of the game, right? And that's the whole point of it. At some point, it'll become interesting, and we look. Let's move the conversation on because I don't want to
Yeah,
make
but
it
I got
one
to
more
make
time.
another point here as well, which is
Sure.
crucial to this game and why we lost. And I saw Thomas Svegenes saying, and a lot of people now starting to pick it up, like, Bruno is becoming a liability. And I don't want to cherry pick because Bruno is always available. Ever since we bought him that January, he's been like, he's been one of our best players that's been clicking into gear and hitting the ball running, hit the ground running, the stats, even when he's having a bad game. But this season, as of yet, we saw in the second half too many ball giveaways, sloppy on the ball, and you saw that he stopped running there. He could have stopped that runner,
Mick, he gets away with murder, and I think he's been pretty shit since he's been captain number one. He's been hiding, and he's been pretty shit as captain number one. And if you want to really look at his game very simply, look at the end when we got the free kick. Right in that last second, what
Yeah,
did he do?
free
He went
kick,
and had a shot.
free kick.
Number two is fans had a serious energy for Harry Maguire, where they were like, Harry Maguire is this, Harry Maguire is rubbish, Harry Maguire is a shit captain. I don't see the same energy for Bruno. I think he's worse than Harry Maguire as a captain. Maguire we never finished like this. And the third thing is, he is a player who is fantastic when he's assisting or scoring. But when it's not going for you, he doesn't
Yeah,
add anything to the game.
yeah. When the going gets rough, the tough gets going. Right, that's what we say. But yeah, you're absolutely right. But there was a moment where he could have. It was a little bit of a dust of wind, but what a shot he had, and it was just curling off the cross left hand corner.
Yes, I remember he had it from
Yeah.
just
Oh my
outside the
god.
box, and
But however, yes, I agree with you. When things are coming off for him, he's perfect. He's amazing. Everything that he does. But I see a fatigued Bruno, and I think that evidently when we actually got him fresh legs in terms of Mason Mount, which I haven't seen much about from last season, I think give Bruno a rest for fuck's sake. If you're going to rotate, if you're serious, you cannot play this player to the ground. If you see that, you can't flog a dead horse already, right? You can't play them into the form. You got to stop that. That's what we tried to do with Marcus Rashford last season. Play him into form. He might become better. But it's all here. If you're of fatigue, I've been going through fatigue lately. You know, if your brain is tired, your body will not follow you. As simple as that. This is the central nervous system up here. Brain controls your legs, brain controls everything. But I said that, if you're going to be serious and talk about Bruno conversation, yes, 100% he needs to rest. Don't take it for granted. You have other players that can play better in that position. And I can arguably say that you can play Mason Mount in that position. You can play Cirques in that position. Ericsson can even play a number 10, but not for full minutes, right?
yeah, I think Mick, just coming on to that, I think there's a couple of problems with the Bruno because when Bruno plays, there's two problems. One, he's very ill disciplined, which leads to the midfield being all over the place. When people say there's gaps, he's the most ill disciplined player you'll probably see in a United shirt, in my opinion. The second problem that you get with him is that everything has to go through him. So we're very reliant on one player. So if you look at City as an example, if De Bruyne comes out, whoever comes in, they fill the gap. It's a system. We don't have a we're not set up as a team to play a certain system. We're set up to get it to Bruno, and he's going to make it happen.
Mm.
And I think we should move away from that. We do have players in like. I think if he came out of the team and we went to a three midfield, we would be a much better team with Ugarte, Menu, Ericsson, or Mount, whoever. And Mount can play that position, but again, it comes back to the big problem of the manager yesterday. He should have took him off and kept Ahmad on, and he moved him to the right hand side, and it just totally broke down on that side once he moved out to the right.
Mm. I'm just going to respond to Yorkshire Cowboy, one of our loyal members and followers. Sounds like a fanboy's defense. I'm not defending Bruno whatsoever. Like, my stance is I'm a Man United fan first and foremost before any player fan. You know what I mean? It's a collective thing. If you see that somebody's the weakest link in the team, you can criticize, right? Because I want what I dream the same dream, I live the same pain as you, and I just want us to win. And that's the thing. If I see that somebody is the weakest link on the team because you have 11 players. Last season we played with 9 players. There were certain players that were liability, and we criticized. As fans, we can criticize Bilal, 100%, but not go to overboard to slag to say, oh, trash for this, trash for that.
No,
You
I
know what?
agree. That's
people that
disrespect.
were people that were criticizing, including myself, Rashford, I was criticizing based on performance. But now when he started to cook again, the same people that criticize him are now back on the Rashford bandwagon. So that's what I'm saying. You can't sit on the fence. Either you back the team for fuck's sake, back the badge, and trust the progress, not the process, the progress, right? That's why my point is, as a devil advocate here in the Devil Red podcast, is to say it's too early yet to be reactionary. There's so many games to play. There's over 50 games to play in this season, guys. Just because we didn't win yesterday and we didn't capitalize against Palace doesn't mean it's going to be this for the rest of the season. However, I said it earlier, if this continues to the end come Christmas, this manager will be gone because I don't believe that Ineos will have egg on the face to continue like this. They invested a lot. They brought in the best in class people. They gave him all the tools. So where the buck stops with the manager at the end of the day. We said it in the podcast so many times. The proof would be in the pudding until it's eaten, and now we're eating the pudding.
We are indeed, yeah. I think the next 3 games are probably crucial in for a number of reasons. The first one is if he drops points against Villa and Spurs and Porto, he's going to be really behind that top 4 race.
Yeah, true, true,
Number
true.
one, and for the outlay of the club and the vision and the new stadium, and we'll come to the new stadium. Um, the they need to get Champions League, and
I
lastly,
100%, 100%.
and
But
last and lastly, just make lastly, and I think because you're coming up to an international break,
which I hate.
yeah, it's gonna give them probably. I think there's one in November as well. I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure.
god.
But
Yeah.
what they don't want to do is they don't want to be writing off the season like last season and just plodding along.
No, no, no. It's so important. I mean, the league and everything. We need to catch up right now. Like this comment here, Yorkshire, bring back Scotty. I mean, how many times have we said that we saw bring back Fred? But at the same time, when Fred was playing or Scotty was playing, he was the scapegoat. Everyone was jumping on it. And now, when we don't have him, everyone wants him back. Like, bring back Martial, bring back this, bring back that. We need to move away from that, guys. Seriously. Luke Shaw, I don't know what's going to happen. We need a left back, 100%.
He's a waste of time, and I've said this
Waste
for
of
years.
space.
He for so it's gonna nearly be a year he's been out. He last time he played was February. His attitude stinks. How dare he go to play for England and then
Yeah,
not
and then
come
and
back?
it comes back and say the preseason. You criticizing for his pre. You mad? You know what? Who
Yeah,
pays your salaries? Who pays your salaries? You went to the England camp. You played semifinals and finals, and you came back and said you got injured in preseason and complained on the training regime. What the hell? What the hell?
yeah,
I mean, give me
he's
a
always
break.
been a waste, overrated player. Very good talent, but attitude and implementation wise. But if you look at Mazraoui as an example,
Oh,
Mazraoui
brilliant.
is a player that when you watch him, he's not going to do skills. He's not a Roberto Carlos, but whatever he does do, he does it really well. He's consistent in play and he plays really well and he's available, right? This is the problem that you've got with some of the players. But I'm sure I don't even want to waste my time with him. I think he'll be gone, and whoever we replace him with, I'll be happy. He's somebody that we shouldn't even be discussing or having near the team. But Mick,
Mm.
where do you think Ineos sit on this generally? Do you think they are feeling the pressure on this a bit now, or
Of course they do. I mean, I go with Sandra Mayer's comment. Like, Ineos brought in the best in class people in every department. And the final review was the manager, and they made the call. to say he's the best guy for moving forward. So that's what I'm saying. They're equally accountable, right? So this is where Ineos stand. That's why I'm saying that if this continues, then Ineos need to look themselves in the mirror and say, listen, we made a mistake here. Like, who do we have as a backup replacement? Yeah, people were calling for McKenna, was too early for him. Would it be a Ruud Van Nistelrooy to take over as an interim coach? You know, but you tell me who else is out there, because at the end of the day, they already formalized an identity the way they want to play, which is high possession based football, press high up on the pitch, and at the same time transitional, right? So you tell me, and then I go back to every single club that's been having this structure already for 7 years. So it doesn't matter if you replace the manager, you just slot in a new manager that will play exactly the same style of brand, like Brighton, like Liverpool, like City, like Arsenal, etc. Arsenal was in the same situation as us. They didn't have a clear governance structure whatsoever. They were dilly dally. In comes Arteta, young prodigy of Pep Guardiola, Man City. He did his apprenticeship. It took him 4 years until he started to cook. But what happened in these 4 years? He played shit. Eight, ninth, eighth. He got to get rid of the Deadwoods, Aubameyangs, and everything, and he banked on the youth. They brought in the right players, and now they have something in place. So this is the stability of the red Ferrari, what I was talking about. You need to balance the back wheels and the front wheels, and you need to have the engine in the middle and components. Until you have that, only then you can go pedal to the metal 220 miles per hour down the freeway, right? The M7.
Yeah, and it's an interesting topic because I just like what to put you on the spot a bit. Then, what do you think will happen in the next 3 games from a results point of view?
I think from two draws now, we're playing Spurs at home.
Spurs, Porto, and Villa
Right. Villa is a tough one. Villa is away or home?
away. Away. I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah. They've been a little bit flaky as well, Villa. They've been also being away. They've been also. But listen, Unai Emery is Unai Emery. That's my bogey coach. I don't really like Unai Emery because he plays the
We beat
offside
him twice
traps.
last year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. So we have his number, 100%. Spurs and Postecoglou, they're not doing well in the table either. They had a slow start, and they're coming to Old Trafford. So it comes down to players. Please stand up, have a revenge, look yourself in the mirror, because apparently everyone is upset after yesterday's 1-1, right? So I think they should be up for a revenge. They should be up for going for the kill switch early in the game. We know how Postecoglou plays by now, so. Spurs, game by game, I think we should go in and win that one, 100%. Then Porto away, that's a tough one in Portugal.
They lost.
But
They lost yesterday.
yeah, so listen, I say what I always say. We have to focus, recalibrate game by game, right? Just because we won with 7-0 against Barnsley doesn't mean that it was a walk in the park in Sellers Park, right? It wasn't, right? So you need to have laser sharp focus, 100% focus during the game. Not like this Christian Eriksen moment or the team collective moment where they allow the number 10 to actually travel all the way from his own opposition half, slice through like a hot butter in a frying pan, and at the end of the day, you win back the ball, right? You break up the play, but you have options to pass it to Onana or pass it sideways or just kick it out to a fucking corner kick, right? So that's what I'm saying. We need to be 100% focused and stick to the plan. But at the end of the day, it's not the manager that controls, right? It's the players on the pitch and the leaders on the pitch that need to stay. Because when you have 70,000 people booing and whistling and cheering on, you can't hear the instructions always unless the manager stands with the megaphone, right? So it's coming down to the captain on the field and certain leaders, and communication is key. This moment, what we saw with Onana and with Ericsson losing the ball, Onana could have shouted to him, "Mate, pass it to me. Watch out." He was the final outpost. You know what I mean? So collectively as a team, what I'm trying to say here is that you got to work as collective as a team, right? Right? You got to want it. You got to fight for each other. And
Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on.
and I see that it's happening, but it's not really 100%. Am I worried against Spurs? No, I'm not, because I think we will come in with a real bit of a hunger, right? Hoyland is starting to get back into the game as well. He's been out injured. Zirks has been fantastic, but he's not a striker. He's more of the glue that's, is instrumental part in terms of how we attack. Link up the play, playing against the back like a Martial, but a better version, right?
He
But he's
reminds me
not a
of Bobby
striker.
Firmino for
Yeah,
Liverpool.
100%, 100%. But again, I would like to see us introduce that partnership where you can actually see Xerxes on top as the fox in the box, the clinical finisher, and Xerxes being more the one that holds up and links up to finds um, Hoyland, to be honest, right? But we know, I mean, technically speaking, we have options from the bench. We have headaches, selection problems, right? So you just have to find the right formula as a manager, as a playing style, coach as well. I mean, we're talking about everyone on the training ground. So right now we are kind of a little bit of experiment. What's is working? Like, should we start Garnacho over Rashford, or should we do this and that and that? But eventually, I think defense was the problem last season. We're not conceding that many shots. Possession based has increased, in terms of how we actually having ball possession. That doesn't lie, but it's just the finishing, right? So I believe that eventually the finishing, the formula, we'll find the right formula, but as long as we get it ASAP against Spurs and the next couple of games.
So out of the 9 points, how many do you think we should take?
I stopped thinking that way, to be honest. As I said, I'm going game by game, focus game by game. I want maximum 9 points. I have standards. I want it, right?
I think, in my opinion, he needs to take at least 6 to have a bit of pressure off. If he can walk out with 7, he's done really well. There won't be pressure on him.
Well, what if
Anything
he takes all the points then?
then
Will
fantastic. Then
Yeah.
then then fantastic. Fair play to him. You keep going, you keep going, you keep moving forward. It shows progression. But I mean, the way things are going, he needs to take a minimum of, in
Okay.
my opinion, at least 6. And if he can get to 7, fantastic.
You know what the cure is for this fan base to I said it on my stream the other day. I was just thinking outside myself, and it's like, why is it so? As soon as we start drawing and losing, everyone is blaming players, managers. But you know what the simple cure is? Start winning games.
Absolutely.
If we start winning games all of a sudden, like first season, we went on a mad run of winning unbeaten, we're unbeaten Old Trafford, we won every single game, and people were positive, people were euphoric, saying Ten Hag is the guy, yeah. And then we came into the second season where we had fucking injuries, to be honest, and that derailed the whole season. But now we have fixed everything, and we have a full fit squad. We have a good bench. Now we just have to win games. And I swear to God, if we start winning, if we take maximum 9 points, I swear to God, the whole mentality of this community, no matter where you are in the world, in out, you will be like euphoric. You will be on endopium. You will be like positive, because let's face it, we all have day jobs, right? You run a business, I run a business, and football for me is escapism. I enjoy sitting there 90 minutes, but it's a positive stress, and sometimes it's a negative stress, right? If we lose 2 days or draw, I'm absolutely pissed off and furious. But then as soon as we approach the next game, I'm getting giddy again. Like, you know what I mean? It's that dopamine,
Yeah.
right?
And and make you 100% right. It's all about winning games. And if he can take 9 points, you know what? He'll be able to go into he'll get that next period, which is that November period or before the international break. But I do fear, because I know they're not going to want to write this season off. And what they'll be fearing is if they're still in the bottom half of the table and the top four is like 6, 7 points away. We've not even had that many tough fixtures yet.
Well,
I do fear.
Well, then talk to me when we are coming to that point, because I'm not the one that's sitting on the fence. No, I explain myself. I'm not taking a stance in or out. I'm looking at performance management. I'm looking at results, because football is a results business. If they certainly fail by come Christmas, if we're sitting like 8th, 10th in the league, we are not in the Europa League, then 100%, then I will say, well, that didn't work, right? But has it gone too far to salvage the rest of the season? Big question mark.
Moving the conversation on, then, Mick, me and you had a discussion a couple of months back about the stadium, and you've seen a lot of stadium talk that's come through lately. An overall plan has been shown, the one where you can see the full park. just for let everybody's reference, that's not how the stadium will look. That is just to give you a visual representation of how the park could look when everything is built. What are your thoughts around that and the whole plan they've got and what they want to do?
Well, I've said it in the past, and I think, you know what, when you actually think about it, when you plug away your emotions from Old Trafford and all the memories and memorabilia, it's far too gone. It's far too gone. The old lady, they left the old lady to rust. You have gas pipelines and underneath the ground, you can't do anything. You have the railroad, the roof is leaking. I mean, if we're building a new Man United team to winning ways, we appointed the best in class people. We have a takeover. Potentially, it's going to be a fizz out 100% or 50% takeover very soon in terms of hostile takeover. You and me, we spoke about this debt to equity again, has to do with the stadium. Again, should we repeat what debt to equity is? He's going to put in money in his own pocket together with the sponsorship of the local
I called it
council.
right, didn't I, Mick? Then I said
Yeah,
there'll be a
yeah,
debt to
yeah, yeah.
equity.
But this creates a lot of jobs. I mean, they own the land bank and everything else, and this is going to create a lot of jobs for people in the local Manchester community. It's like you want to create an attraction. You want to attract tourists. Listen, every week or every second week, people all around the world travel to Manchester to watch Manchester United, not Manchester City, right? We are the biggest amusement attraction, so why not? You got to have a stadium that at least represents the brand, right? 100,000 new stadium and take the memorabilia and put it in there as well. But the spirit of Old Trafford you can never take. Yeah. So I think it's the right thing to do at the end of the day. If we turn in the page, we're building a new club, we're building a new dawn, we have everything in place because this will never happen under the Glazers, right?
No, it wouldn't happen under the Glazers. And what's interesting is there's been a share issue which came out a few weeks ago or last week or so. And obviously, it's just what people need to understand is when they're saying they need government funding, the government funding is for the additional railway roads need to be made wider. The
Yes,
land that the
infrastructure.
government owns, United saying we build ours, will you build your side of it as
Yes.
well?
Yeah.
That's what the funding is. Just like when Tottenham built their stadium, they asked for government funding for a bigger tube station. It's exactly the same thing, but here because the scale is much bigger, and the
Yeah.
reason the scale is much bigger is United are probably one of the only clubs in Europe that own over 100 acres of land around the
Yeah.
stadium. If
Oh
you look
yeah, it
at
used
any
to
of
be
the
Spurs,
stadiums,
and used to until they sold off all the land banks, asset and naming rights and everything just to fund the squad. But you got to absolutely point because one thing I know is about land bank assets and capital. That's what I advise on as well. Um, and you're absolutely right. We do our part. You know, we own the land bank asset. We build the stadium, and you chip in for the rest of the community. What's in it for
correct.
you? Like, you know, what's in it for you? Well, if we start doing that, you got to have tourism. You got to create jobs. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You know, help me help you because we're going to build the latest and greatest stadium, 100,000 capacity. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of people flocking into Manchester. Potentially even look at Manchester Airport to sort of to facilitate everything. So it's a win-win situation for the community and for the club at the end of the day.
Yeah, just for people that are watching that might not be familiar with how this works, the government will have targets it needs to hit in job creation, economic boost, things they need to do in certain areas. So what this project will actually do is it will actually speed up them hitting them targets because it's such a big project where you're going to create 97,000 jobs. You're going to create a £7 billion contribution to the economy every year where it might have taken the government 8 years to do that, if they become part of this project, it will take them 5 years to do it. So it looks good going into election campaigns. It looks good for their pledges that they made in their manifestos. So what United is saying is, right, we'll build our side. We'll build everything on our land. You've got land across the road from us. Are you willing to build that up also so this becomes a bigger project? That's what the funding is for. And also moving the train track, making the roads wider, certain aspect, and that's what they're asking for. They're not saying to the taxpayer to pay for the ground,
Yeah.
and that's why
Oh,
at the Labour Party conference, it was to show what the overall project will look like. For Labour, they would need because for them it would work really well as well. Be saying, look, we've leveled it up in the north. It's such a big project because coming back to my point, if you look at all grounds, Bernabeu, If you look at New Camp, if you look at every other ground bar San Siro, I'm pretty sure, and San Siro Milan don't own, they don't have much land around them.
Mm.
So they can only, even if you look at the new Bernabeu, how they've done that, it's quite tight. And even with Tottenham, it's quite tight. We're the only club from what I can think of out the big clubs. Even Liverpool don't have much. They've got a park on one side and a road on the other.
But you got to maximize your assets, what you own. And
Correct.
if you look at Chelsea, what they've done
Chelsea
a
are
madness.
struggling
They just sold
massively.
off everything. They sold off the hotel rights, everything. There's no return for them, right? But we're sitting on a pot of gold there in terms of what we own, in terms of assets, what you can do that. So that means that if you're the main asset holder, you can just sublease, land lease it. So somebody will build a hotel on your land, but you can charge them money every year, a yield, and that's profitable, right? And that
Yeah.
doesn't go that doesn't go on FFP. So it's simple. You know, Bilal, I own this plot of land. You want to build a whatever a cottage on it, right? Right? Cool. I give you the rights to build, but every year you're going to pay me a service charge, right? For because I own the land.
Absolutely, and I think that is the most interesting part of this is that how this is built now, and then the way, in my opinion, and I've said this to Mick a long time ago, is Ineos. Listen to my wording very carefully now. Ineos will put in the money, not Jim Ratcliffe. It will be Ineos who will put in the money, and what will happen is Ineos, for putting in the money, will say to the Glazers, "We'll wipe out the debt," and they will
Yes.
become a shareholder or whatever you want to into the business,
Yeah.
and that's how
And
it will work.
and this hit me in the face, a reality check, when we did the takeover and we were questioning why is he only going in on 25%? Well, now the proof is in here. Now you can see the garden path, the master plan development in what he's going to do. This is something called hostile takeover, right? He's going to sell OG Nice and take all that money, invest into clearing the debt for Manchester United, right? And in terms of the contractual buyout, he can then debt to equity. So he buys out the debt, he invests in the stadium. In order for do that, he acquires more Class B shares. That's part of the contract. And this is his master plan. He was thinking, why should I pump in extra billions when I can do this in 18 months or 24 months? Slowly. Now I understand. Now I can see it. So I don't see Glazers having any say of all this appointment. Oman Barada was an Ineos appointment. All the footballing operations was an Ineos appointment, right?
Yeah, and funny enough, Mick, I was thinking about this last night. Ten Hag is quite lucky because Glazers would have sacked him by now. Under
Mm.
fan pressure, he would have been gone last season. But look, these conversations will keep going on. We're gonna keep having them. It's still early days, like you have said,
Yeah.
and like
But not it's like what Kat is saying, not a lot of people talking about this. So if infrastructure is important, jobs, construction, you're discussing should be an exciting prospect for the fans, right? And the thing is it ties into my overall argument into the whole podcast what we're having. Things if you have a master plan, it will not just be like it will fall into place. It's like a domino effect, one by one, right? When you do change management, transformation, and change, you always look at 3 year plan or 5 year plan, but you do it in steps, in
yeah,
steps. And if that doesn't work, but agile is what Scrum is, like agile, like, this is how you eliminate the bottlenecks and achieve quicker to the target. It's very simple. You're building a rocket, you're going to fly to the moon. The point A to point B is a straight line. But how are you going to get that faster? It's all about process. Eliminate it. Throw out some weight. Maybe, Bilal Yogi is overweight. Let's throw him off the board. We'll reach that faster. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Let's not waste fuel. I'm trying to explain this in layman's term because football is simple. Football is for us consumers. We should not get involved with what's going on behind the scenes. We're here just to watch the football and watch the team play. But we can get down to the nitty gritty of what we're talking now. It gets very heavy. So I'm trying to explain that very, very simple.
Yeah, absolutely, Mick. It's going to be look exciting times. We don't want to dwell on the negatives too much. It's early days. I'm sure me and you are going to be back for another show very soon. Any
Yeah.
last words from you, Mick? Any last words to wrap it up?
Well, I kind of enjoy this debate. I think it's level-headed. I enjoy seeing people leaving comments in the comment section. Challenge me with your logic and reasoning. Why you think, instead of some people just leave slanderous comment. And for me, I'm just wondering, what is your reason behind? Can you explain? You know what I mean? Um, Again, we are football consumers of a club. We love to be entertained, and that's I want to be entertained too. But when we don't get entertained, let me know the reason what went wrong, and how would you fix it? My final thoughts is not trust the process, is trust the progress. My final thought is as well that media is always out there to kill this club, and fans also can stop flip flopping, like make up your mind, and either you support this team, support this club. You can see the progress. We're trying just to provide you a little bit of a guidance how you can see. But again, my final point is mental health is so important in people's everyday life, and if you take this too seriously, you're going to get burned out, right? Because it's a game, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great words by Mick there. If you've not subscribed to my channel, Full Time Reds, please do so. Give Mick a subscribe. Great content coming out as always. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh,
We'll be
and
back.
yeah, please, guys, we forgot to say that it's not mandatory, but if you do finger that like button, if you're watching on his channel, my channel, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to explain very simple. YouTube is going to take, oh, you like this. Algorithm. What is algorithm? Well, algorithm means people. The more likes, the more people I think, and YouTube's going to promote this channel and content to other Man United fans. So please do not forget to hit the like.
Thank you so much for watching, guys.